Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the FAQ video on this RealMe 2 Pro. In fact, I've been now using this for almost 9 days, and yes guys, I had mentioned that I'll be posting the FAQ video a little bit earlier, but I got a lot of questions and there was some conflicting information on Flipkart side. So actually I asked quite a few questions directly to these RealMe guys, hence the delay, and now I've got answers to all those questions. So first I'll actually answer the common questions that I was getting, and I got the answers directly from these RealMe guys, and later on then I'll take about 16 odd of your user questions. So let's get on with this. And this was the first question, and I also had this question, and this is regarding the Snapdragon 660 SoC. I asked them, RealMe 2 Pro has Snapdragon 660 processor, so does it support fast charging if you use Qualcomm Quick Charger? If so, what type of Qualcomm Quick Charging is supported, version 2 or 3? And they simply said no quick charging is supported. So there is no quick charging on this device, guys. Second was regarding the secondary camera. Regarding the secondary camera, I asked them what is the resolution. The primary is 16 megapixel. What about the secondary? And they said that the secondary camera is a 2 megapixel just used for depth sensing, and the primary one is the 16 megapixel, that is the Sony IMX398. And guys, that's actually a very good camera sensor, the Sony one, that's the main one, 16 megapixel, and this is the same camera sensor actually that is used on the OnePlus 5T. Hence that's the reason actually when I took a lot of sample shots, I actually, when I was trying to Goa, I took this and I took a lot of sample shots with this one, and due to that high quality Sony sensor, I got very good shots, and also it has the aperture of f1.7. Now moving to another thing, many of you have asked, does it support dual 4G Volte? And they said yes, dual 4G support is there, and it also works with GeoSIM. And I also asked them about Android updates. I asked them what about Android updates and Android P, when can users expect that? And this is what I got. They say by the first half of next year, all RealMe devices like the RealMe 1, RealMe 2, RealMe 2 Pro and the RealMe C1 will have Android P updates for sure. So we are not going to get the Android P update just now. They said first half of next year. Okay, I also asked about what is the glass protection that is used on the screen, and they said that it's Gorilla Glass 3. And many of you have also asked me what type of RAM does this have, the DDR3 or DDR4, and I asked them, and they said that it has the LPX DDR4 RAM, that is low power DDR RAM 4. So it has DDR RAM 4, not DDR3. So that's actually a good thing. And this is again one more question that many of you have asked, that is regarding the storage. Does it have UFS storage or the regular eMCC storage that we generally see on mid-range Android phones? So I asked them regarding the UFS storage, is it on all models or only on the 8GB RAM model? They said that UFS 2.1 is only on the 8GB RAM variant, and rest of them are having the eMMC 5.1. That means if you buy the 4GB or the 6GB model, that will have eMCC storage, and only the 8GB RAM variant will have the UFS 2.1. And guys, this is not a big deal because most of the mid-range phones actually are having the eMCC storage. The UFS is generally only found in higher end phones because it's a lot more expensive to implement. But again, this is what the official statement was. And I also asked them about their service centers and stuff, because got a lot of questions regarding that. So I asked them, what about RealMe after sales service? From where can we get the service for RealMe phones? And they said that online service is provided by Flipkart and RealMe official website. Apart from that, they said almost 500 offline Oppo service centers across the country. So yes, still you can go to the Oppo service centers and get this serviced. And they also said that this is new. They say call me service includes both free pickup and couriering for repair. So these are the three modes. And many of you were wondering, can we take these phones to Oppo service centers? So the answer is yes. And lastly, this is another question that I was getting from you, quite a few of you, and I think so this is a confusion created by Flipkart, or I don't know. They said that in the Flipkart descriptions area, it's just written as TFT LCD screen, and I asked them, can you also confirm about the screen type, IPS LCD or TFT LCD, as there is again some confusion about the same among users. And this is what they said. I'm just going to quote it. It is having the LTPS IPS TFT screen, which is a very good LCD screen that will give you better viewing angles than normal TFT screens. And I did a little bit of digging, as they say that it is having the LTPS IPS TFT screen. This is actually a much better quality screen compared to normal screens that you get. In fact, here is a Quora page. As you can see, I'll also leave the link in the YouTube description area. In fact, it's actually more expensive to manufacture these types of screens compared to the normal screens. In fact, due to that, these screens actually consume a lot less power, and I think so that is the reason I'm actually getting very good battery life on this one, because though it just has a 3500 milliamp hour battery, and the battery life has surprised me. So it might be due to this LTPS screen, and I hope Flipkart changes that correctly, so because many of the users are mistaking, and I don't know whose fault is this RealMe guy's fault or Flipkart's guy. So just I hope in your specification list you change that. Anyways guys, so this was the list of questions and answers that I got from the brand. Now let's quickly answer the questions that you have asked. And this is by Yashwant. He's asking, is there any UI improvement or is the same as earlier compared to the RealMe 2? It's the same UI color OS 5.2 that you're getting on this one. So it's same color OS, not my favorite guys. No lag or anything that I noticed, but again, it's not my favorite UI. For example, again, notifications, sometimes you have to actually double swipe to remove it. And for example, battery stats, it doesn't give you any battery stats. So silly stuff like that. It's the same color OS. So no change in that. This is regarding the stabilization. This is by Michael Raj. He's asking, is there any stabilization on video recording? Will it support 4K video recording? Is it worth to upgrade from the RealMe 1? First, let me talk about upgrading from RealMe 1. I don't think so. It's a huge upgrade over RealMe 1. Yes, the camera, rear facing camera, I see a huge improvement over the RealMe 1. So if you're looking at camera performance improvement, yes. But again, in general performance, I would say it's not a big upgrade from the RealMe 1 to this one. The RealMe 1 still has the P60 chipset, which is actually a very good chipset. So I don't see a huge upgrade unless camera is a very high priority to you, and you also miss that fingerprint scanner. Now moving to the stabilization on video recording. Yes, it does have stabilization, and here are some of the sample shots that I had shot with this one when I was in Goa earlier. And here you go. Here is a 1080p sample first. Shooting this video with the RealMe 2 Pro, and as you can see guys, I'm just walking. This is on grass to check how's the stabilization. This is at 1080p, so yeah, this is how the video would be, and audio is also being recorded via its internal microphone. And you also have this 1x and 2x option, and within the video also, as you can see, you can do that. Now shooting this video in 4K with this RealMe 2 Pro, and what I'll do is guys, I'll just walk around, and this is handheld. So you guys let me know if there is any stabilization, and if so, how is the stabilization in 4K. So this is at 4K guys. Now shooting this part of the video with the front facing camera of this RealMe 2 Pro, and as you can see guys, I'm just walking around. The audio is also being recorded via its internal microphone, so this should give you an idea how would be the video recording with this RealMe 2 Pro front facing camera in outdoor lighting conditions. So as you can see, it has stabilization, and I feel at 1080p the video stabilization, electronic image stabilization is far superior compared to 4K. In 4K also it had that, but I think so the 1080p one does very well. In fact, the audio recording that you get while shooting video was also actually really good. Moving to the next one, this is by Acharya. He is asking, I want to know about the camera quality, as the camera in the RealMe 1 was average. How many stars out of 10? I would say with the rear facing camera, forget that 2 megapixel depth stuff. If you just talk about the main 16 megapixel camera, I would say the camera performance is really, really good. I haven't actually compared it side by side with the Mi A2, but again, I would say the camera performance was really good. For example, the shots that I got in Goa were very nice. That because of the IMX Sony sensor that they're using. It's a very high-end sensor that was used in the OnePlus 5T. So the rear-facing camera is actually really good. I would say I would call it 9 out of 10. Again, I haven't compared it side by side to the Mi A2, so can't comment. So the camera performance is actually really good, and in fact, it might be the best camera performance for around 14,000. Let's move to the next one. This is by Anmol. Does it have LED notification light? Sadly, no physical LED notification light on this one, and I've missed that very much on this device. This is by Ketan, which is the best pick value for money among these three variants of the Realme 2 Pro: 464, 664 or 128. I would say the 464 is the most value one, I would say. And yes, 4 gigabytes of RAM is actually more than enough, because I tested the Realme 2 that had the 4 gigabytes of RAM, and that was working fine, I would say. So yes, you can go with the 4 gigabyte 64 GB variant, because the good thing is that it does have a dedicated micro SD card slot. So I feel yes, the 464 that is for 14,000 has the best value. Let's move to the next. This is by Mustafa. Does it have dual Volte? Support for quick charging? How's the battery life? I've already mentioned about the first two. Let's talk about the battery life, and I've got a lot of questions regarding this. It has just a 3,500 milliamp hour battery. On paper, it actually looks really low, and I thought the battery life might not be good, but I'm actually truly surprised with the battery life. And guys, I did all my testing with 2 SIMs, and in fact using all the time on mobile data. And I have to say the battery life is actually really good. If you're sort of a heavy user, it'll easily last for a full working day with 2 SIMs. And if you are with mixed usage, sometimes you use Wi-Fi, and let's say 70% time you use the mobile data, then it might last you about 1.5 days. And if you're sort of a casual user, it'll last you about 2 days. So the battery life is actually really good. Don't have to worry about the battery life. And I think so that is because of that new screen that they have put. That's a very power efficient screen. Because I have also tested other phones with Snapdragon 660. Yes, Snapdragon 660 is a very efficient chipset, but this was giving me better battery life than what I expected. Let's move to the next one. This is by Shivam. What about future updates? So will the company provide regular updates? Regarding the Android updates, as I've told you, Android P, they said that will come out sometime next year. So yes, it will get updated, but again, looks like that the updates won't be very quick. So you have to wait a couple of months before you'll get the updates. This is by Nitin Way. He's asking, I have some question. Does it have all the sensors like proximity, compass, etc.? Yes, first let's talk about sensors. Yes, it has all the sensors that you are asking. Proximity sensor is there, compass sensor is there, gyroscope sensor is there. So all sensors are there. Auto brightness sensor is there. So you don't have to worry about that. It's not like Samsung mid-range phones where they actually skip sensors. Moving to slow motion recording, to be very frank, I didn't test it, but it should be actually there because Snapdragon 660 would support it. I will check it later. And no LED notification light, as I've told you. Yeah, you can go with the 4 gigabyte RAM variant, because one thing I didn't like is that yes, that the 16,000 rupees variant has 6 gigabytes of RAM, but still the storage is limited to 64 GB. So I do feel the 4 gigabyte RAM model makes more sense. This is by Shovik. He's asking which has the better camera, Realme 2 Pro or the Max Pro M1? I think so you are referring to Zenfone Max Pro 1. Definitely the Realme 2 Pro blows the of the Zenfone. The Zenfone Max Pro's camera performance is simply nowhere near to this one. This one has far superior camera, both the rear facing as well as the front facing camera. This is by Bhattacharya. He says, I want to, he's asking, should I go with the Realme 2 Pro or the Realme 1? Which one gives me the better performance? Because both the GPU are powerful to compare with. Please tell me. I'm not bothered with the notch or the fingerprint scanner or dual camera. I want to know the performance. In terms of day-to-day performance, to be very frank, you won't notice a huge difference in daily usage with the Realme 2 Pro or the Realme 1. But in gaming, if you do a little bit of gaming, I would give the slight edge to this Realme 2 Pro because the GPU is slightly better on this one. But again, as you tell me, you don't bother about the camera. The camera, I feel the rear-facing camera is much better on this one. But if you don't care about the camera and don't care a lot about gaming, you can save a little bit of money and go with the Realme 1, because the Realme 1 4 gigabyte RAM model is for 11,000. This is for 14,000. I hope it helps. This is by Aman. Realme 2 Pro has 3,500 milliamp hour battery, but other phone in this price segment like the Note 5 Pro or the Zenfone Max Pro give greater battery like 4,000. How is the battery life? As I mentioned, the battery life is actually surprisingly good. You don't have to worry about the battery life. Even typical usage, I would say more than average to user who's the slightly heavy user also with dual SIMs will easily last for a full working day. Yes, it won't be as good as the Zenfone Max Pro. With the Zenfone Max Pro, I was able to touch almost 2 days because it has that 5,000 milliamp hour battery. This, I would say, most of the time it's lasting me for about 1.5 days. So the battery life is not bad. Actually, it's really good. And yeah, regarding the screen also, many of you asked, the screen quality is actually really good on this one. No issues regarding that. And in fact, the screen can go really, really bright. It's on auto brightness. I'll disable that right now. And if I increase the brightness, as you can see, it can go really, really bright. And it can also go really dull also. This is the dullest. I like that it can go really dull and really bright. So that's what it is. So the screen quality is really good on this device. No issues regarding that. Now let's move to the next one. This is by Nofel. He's asking, how's the RAM management overall performance? Guys, the unit that they have sent me, this is the review unit. This is the 8GB RAM variant, and in this one I didn't have any issues of RAM management as expected, 8GB. And again, I didn't find any UI lag. The Color OS, you don't get any UI lag with this. It's just the UI interface that I personally don't like. That's the only problem that I have. But the UI lag I didn't face. So again, you should experience UI lag on this. Snapdragon 660 is a very powerful chipset, and even if you go with the 4GB RAM variant, yes, it might not hold as many apps in memory compared to the 8GB, but with regular usage you shouldn't have a issue. About Android updates, as I've told you, Android P, they said sometime next year that we will be getting, and so yeah, that's what it is. They didn't mention when exactly the time frame. This is by Ishan. He's asking, how about signal reception, data, and call quality? How's the headphone jack quality? The headphone jack quality is actually really good. And in the settings, if you go, you can tweak the sound signature. And by doing that, you get actually very good output via the headphones. About signal reception, I tested this one with my Airtel SIM and even with Jio. And even I used it while roaming because I was traveling. I traveled to Mumbai and I even traveled to Goa during my testing. And no issues regarding signal call quality. Signal call quality is good. Moving to the next one, this is by Srikant. Material used for the build quality, any heating issues, notification LED light, no physical LED notification light. I didn't notice any heating issues on this, and with general usage, I would say I've used it for almost 9 days, never had any heating issues. Even when I was actually using GPS quite a bit when I was roaming around, it gets slightly just warm like this, but no heating issues that I've noticed. The build quality back actually looks like glass, guys. It's not glass, it's actually polycarbonate. And I thought by now, as you can see, I'm not using it with any case, and it's been 9 days since I've been using it. I'm using it roughly. I don't care where I'm putting it. Still, I haven't got any cases. But again, as it's that polycarbonate thing, as you can see, it's a fingerprint magnet if you don't use it with the case that is supplied. So that's what it is. And moving to the last question, this is by Kishore. He's asking, how's the audio output? Is it loud? Yes, actually, it just has a single speaker here at the bottom, and I have to say, this one is one of the loudest single speaker that I have heard. In fact, the earlier OnePlus also had a very loud speaker. It's almost comparable to that one. So very loud speaker, and you can easily take calls while speakerphone. In fact, this is one of those rare smartphones when watching YouTube videos or while taking calls on speakerphone. I don't keep the volume level at max. I have to actually put it down. So the speaker is also very loud, but again, it's not a stereo speaker. So anyways, guys, these were the questions that I was getting regarding this RealMe 2 Pro. And you guys, if you still have any other specific questions regarding this device, do let me know in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer them. And some of you have also asked me about the gaming with this. Personally, guys, I have almost stopped doing any gaming with this, so I didn't do a lot of gaming. The only game that I played with this one was this new Asphalt 9, and I played it just about 20-25 minutes, and it played that game fine without any issues. So anyways, guys, that was it for this FAQ video. If you guys still have any other questions, do post them in the YouTube comment section below. I'll try to include them in my future videos. And guys, if you're still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.